Hey, folks, happy Friday and welcome to the Freedom from the Press podcast. My name is Jason Robertson. I'm here with my partner in crime,
Todd Peterson. Folks, thanks for joining us and thanks for listening to our new intro song, Jason. I don't know about you, my energy wasn't as high after the other song, but I gotta say this. Welcome to Kagan Girl and welcome to a copyright-free intro song. Facebook hated that other intro song every single week we played it.
Yeah, I got to say, it's funny. We broadcast on all these platforms. Rumble is our favorite. By the way, if you're not on there, get the green app, go to the Rumble, join our community. Hey, you can even be a paid sub if you like what we do. But yeah, all these platforms would nuke us or hit us with a copyright strike for some public access song. So we actually are working with the new guy that does custom music, and we had him make the intro. So hopefully you like the new intro song. And before we get going, do us a favor, whatever platform you're on, give us a thumbs up, give us a like, give us a comment, give us a share. We got so much to go over today. And Todd, what do you think? What a week in MAGA world.
We just keep winning. I keep pinching myself, Jason. We are now almost 4 months into Donald Trump being president. It is a different country under his leadership here. His cabinet has been awesome, minus Pam Bondi. I don't know if we're going to get into Pam Bondi much today, but we do have a clip from Kash Patel when he was asked what happened to Jeffrey Epstein here, something we're all wondering what's going on with that story. Where are the files? But everything else under Donald Trump has been fantastic. And you know it's good because the left is resorting to just being children. They are throwing tantrums. They are melting down. They have the most hysterical reactions to things that are just good and what we want for this country. So, folks, it is just video after video clip today of Dem meltdowns. Democrat are children. We know that already. They live in some fantasy world where they think everyone will just get along and everybody will give them things for free. They ignore human nature. Then they melt down like my 2-year-old does when she gets the wrong toothbrush. But that's where we're at. Democrats are kids. You're going to see that on full display today.
Yeah, and I got to say, President Trump, I cannot give enough shout outs to him and his team and what they're doing. You know, if we could do a show where we go through, okay, they haven't got this done, that done, the other, and we'll address some of those things like Epstein files. Like, God, I hope we see those before we die. But overall, it's excellent. And I think the messaging, too, has been one thing I've been really spot on. Carolyn Levitt, like, mwah, chef's kiss. She is top shelf. And Donald Trump, just with the things they do. And I was talking about it on Wayne's podcast that I do during the week. And like he came out with that Alcatraz thing last weekend. And it was like 2-3 days of Democrats like, this is stupid, blah, blah, blah. And it's like the contrast couldn't be more clear. American citizens see Donald Trump throwing ideas against the wall. How can we make our nation safe, secure, and better? And Democrats are like, every idea he throws out, like, oh, that's a dumb idea. That'll never work. Oh, you shouldn't do that. Oh, you want to deport illegal. The messaging couldn't be more clear. And then I wish the rest of the goddamn Republicans would get on board with it, because the Republican House and Senate are doing the opposite. They are the Republican Party from pre-Donald Trump who just sits there and whines and doesn't do anything.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of that, Jason, we always said we want Mike Johnson to be speaker. We don't want to deal with like this infighting when he's just about to take office. We said Mike Johnson's fine. Just stay out of the way of Donald Trump. But 4 months in, like, okay, you guys stayed out of the way, but now you need to come back and actually codify as legislation all of his great executive orders and pass the America First agenda. They haven't been an impediment necessarily, even though we're starting to see Tom Tillis and James Langford and some of these other rhino senators come out and say, I won't support that. You got Rand Paul over here saying I'm trying to filibuster his tariff plan. So now we are starting to see the opposition. We haven't seen any action yet from Republicans. I think we expected this. But Jason, this is going to be wild here. If they don't get in line, they will lose the midterms. Donald Trump will be definitely handcuffed, and everything that we're seeing that's great is going to disappear.
Yeah, and hey, before we get to our first video, shout out to Bubba over on the Twitter X. One of these days, Todd, you or I, we got to get on Bubba's Twitter space. He does great Twitter spaces. I've done 1 or 2 with him, and in the evening talking about grassroots movements. And no Friday is complete without our friend Fally, and Fally's over on the Rumble. Giddy up! What a great day.
Rumble login working for Fally. Welcome back, Fally. Fally, it is great. I see you on my show. I see you on Friday here. Like Jason said, it's not a complete day without a podcast with Fally joining the comment section. We got Paul in the comments. Good morning, Paul.
Paul
I don't know if
Reese
you know this,
from
folks,
Split
but you
Rock
can get some
Coffee.
delicious Split Rock coffee from Paul Reese himself, local Minnesota company just down the road from Jason. Go to splitrockcoffee.com, use promo code TOD10, subscribe and save today, and promo code TOD10 to save on that purchase. Get delicious ground coffee delivered to your doorstep every single month. Never go to the grocery store again. Oh,
Oh
and
my
Jason.
God.
Oh, they're all popping in. Good morning, everybody.
We got Dee Dee. Dee Dee's here. And shout out to Dee Dee. A couple super chats the last couple weeks. Dee Dee, you're amazing. And Michaela across the street. She probably saw me out there bitching in my backyard as I was moving stuff. Going, God dang, these logs are heavy today. And she tuned in. Michaela, it's great to have you on. So the gang's all here. Todd, what video do we start with?
All right, let's do a little of this right here. We're gonna get ready for some videos, folks. Thanks for joining us today. Rumble community is active. Jason, I'm gonna get this one out of the way. You're gonna hate me for it, folks. I just want to show you what Democrats are about nowadays. This is a video from Toronto. This is their, I guess, Asian mayor. I'm not even gonna say anything. Facebook will nuke us for it, but this is what people vote for. Democrats think that this is progress. We're gonna get people that aren't from our country. We're gonna get people that can barely speak our language. They certainly don't represent our values. If you're a native born American here or a native Canadian up there, but this is who Democrats would vote for in America if they had the chance. None of this says Canadian right here, but this is what the new Toronto looks like. And again, this is coming to America near you.
Before we play the video, Todd, does this sound like, what was that movie that they had that they made fun of the Canadians with the beer? Like, and they were all kind of sounded like Minnesotan, like You Betcha and whatnot.
Was that with Moranis and John Candy? They're all wearing their, like, that's Canadian. When you think of Canada, that's what you envision here. This is not Canada, but this is what they're voting for.
You're having a great time with kids in the playground or enjoying the cherry blossom that is really beautiful, or in the winter time, bike around or tobogganing down with your kids, and then the bathroom is closed. Well, it's now open. As of May 1st, it's open now.
I don't know. Jason hates me for playing that video. I don't know. I cracked up.
I don't hate you. I love that.
That's Toronto's mayor. That's a Democrat politician. People voted for that. Like, what are you doing opening up a restroom, taking off a sign? What are you doing talking like that? I know I'm going to get called a xenophobe and a racist and a bigot, but come on.
Well, and I got to say, our friends in Canada, like, I don't even know what to tell these folks. They elected the clown liberal who came to the White House. And then did you see the video that was going around? We probably can't play it on some of these platforms, but they were talking about some murder, and they were like giving like land recognition to some African tribe that had settled some part of Nova Scotia. And I'm like, oh my God. But how do you hear this woman and think, that's who I want to be my mayor? Like, I don't even get it.
That's Canada right there. And Jason, my question for all these, we did the video, or at least I did on my own podcast. You had Shri Thanikar, whatever his name is, the Indian immigrant there that had the toupee and was saying, I'm going to impeach Donald Trump. You have all these immigrants from countries that are less developed than ours. They have less material wealth. They have less everything. They come to America. In this case, this woman is in Canada. Come here as an immigrant. They're fleeing socialism in a lot of cases, fleeing poverty. And all of these immigrants come here and they're like, you know what I want to do to this great nation that I've resettled in? I want to turn it into that exact same asshole of a country that I fled intentionally from. I just can't wrap my head around this mindset of an immigrant. You are blessed to be in the Western Hemisphere, Canada and America, less so in Canada now. And then you're just going to do the same thing, run the same policies that ran your country in the ground or never let you get started. I just can't with this.
You know, it's funny, and this will be something we're going to dig into in the second half hour, but it's the entire Democrat leftist mindset where, you know, like, let's just fact check this. Is there a successful socialist nation in the world you want to move to? Has there been one in the history of mankind that you look at and go, oh, yeah, let's emulate that? But what happens is you establish a Judeo-Christian conservative republic. You provide wealth and opportunities and everything for everybody, more than anybody could ever imagine. And then the leftists come in and say, you know what? I've thought a lot about this. I think instead of taking what works successfully, let's just let's just do everything different, and let's do everything the antithesis of what you're doing. And honestly, like when they do these big like welfare giveaways, that works great for a short period of time. But eventually the money runs out, and it's like the people producing the money, you get less people producing the money and more people taking the money, and then everything collapses. And I don't know why this is such a hard concept to understand.
Jason, we need to go to a troll. We got Bob Nelson. If that doesn't sound like a fake account, nothing does. He's using our word. And I don't know about you, Jason, but I have been told over and over again in my past career as an assistant principal, in education, you cannot do this. As a leftist, you're more tolerant, you're mindful of people with special needs. And you got this guy over here dropping the R word as if it's an insult here. It doesn't say why we are, doesn't point out where we're wrong, but this is what you get.
Right. And I think Clinton over on the Facebook, who are these fools that voted Democrat? Yeah. And here's a great take from Eric. No disrespect to immigrants, but I think in my humble opinion, what it is that they want all their heritage in the country that they're in with none of the bad stuff. So they want to change everything to the way they live or their values or beliefs. And we don't stand up for ourselves anymore if cheaper minority because we feel bad for them. Now we're starting to feel bad for ourselves and nobody likes it. I mean, that is it in a nutshell. Like they come into Judeo-Christian nations and we're tolerant, we're nice. And then they become the goddamn house guest that won't leave or won't like flush the toilet or whatever. It's like you just come in with your bad ideas that you had in your other nation that destroyed it. And instead of saying, I'm going to find it, I'm going to figure out, okay, this works. Todd and I run into it with the business. We're bringing on new people and we've had a hard time. And like new guys will come in and like the first week they'll be like, oh, we should do things different. And it's like, how about before you come in with the idea of doing things different, you say, here's a successful business. What made it successful? Let me understand how it all works. Then like, oh, is there some tweaks we can do here or there? It's crazy.
Yeah. Again, they think if we replace everything that made this nation better, somehow it'll still be better, but then it will reflect us. Like, it doesn't work that way. If you tear down the foundation of what made these places great with ideas like limited government, in theory at least, individual freedoms, opportunity to prosper in a free market and work your way up out of the caste system, they think if we just tear all of that down, they can somehow take what's still great about America and embed their own ideas, and it just doesn't work that way. And Jason, I'm going to get philosophical for a second too. It reminds me of Chesterton's wall. So you referenced the idea of like, we're just going to come in, not ask questions about what made it work here. If you're a conservative and you're walking down in the field and you see an old stone wall, you ask yourself, where did that come from? What is that purpose here? What happens if I remove it, or should I keep it there? And if you're a Democrat, you look at the wall and you're like, that's in the way, I'm going to tear it down. And they never ask questions. They just do what they think feels right in the moment. And it turns out maybe that wall was there for a reason.
Absolutely. And Todd, while we're talking about the immigrants too, I just sent you a link to a tweet that I just wanted to touch on. We didn't have a video about it, but I just wanted to pull this up quick to break this down. So if you zoom in on the image, so this is one of the stories making the rounds. New York Post. Georgia college student faces deportation after running red light. Police discover her entire family is living here illegally in the U.S. for years. Now, I just want to talk about this story for a minute. So one, this is a attractive college age Mexican girl, right? So that is framed up in a certain way to get you to feel a certain thing. So this story is remarkable. This girl is driving without a license and runs a red light, gets pulled over. The police officer, she's been here. She's like 19. She's been here since she was 4. She doesn't even speak the goddamn language. She doesn't even speak English. The cop can't talk to her. He has to get an interpreter to talk to her to find out she doesn't have a driver's license. So she's been here 14 years, 15 years. She doesn't have a license and driving. She doesn't speak the language. Now, it turns out her dad has already been detained by ICE and is in the process of being deported. Somehow he managed to open a business in America illegally. And like, I have no sympathy for these folks. You came here illegally, and that's a disqualifier first. Second, I don't care what you're contributing. Like, you're telling me in 14 years you can't learn to speak English and get a driver's license. I mean, come on, go home, come in the right way, and Valley nails it.
Yeah, and this is the propaganda. We were preparing folks ahead of time. You were going to get videos of young mothers with babies crying, saying that's who Trump is targeting here. Picking out the pretty immigrant girl is not just a coincidence. This was intentional here because, again, like Jason said, pretty young girl. We react differently to that. They know their Dem base that is still getting boosted and tested for various illnesses is going to see that little baby crying and say, look at Trump separating them. Look at him sending these poor families home. This is the propaganda at work here. If they had some like old, drunk, like warded, pimpled up dude with a 5 o'clock shadow, no one would care, by the way. He could have the exact same circumstances, but if he were not attractive to look at, nobody would care. This is how they propagandize you. They pick out the pretty girl, they pick out the crying baby, and they prey on your emotions here. So yeah, as Betty says over on Facebook, send her back. See you later.
Actually, and Eric here over on the Facebook, we got to get some of these guys on the Rumble side. But Eric nails it. I've traveled to Mexico many times for business, and the number one thing I learned traveling was I need to learn the language. I couldn't get by without speaking Spanish. If I lived in Mexico for a year, I'd be able to do that language. There's no reason to have people that have no desire to learn the adequate language of the country. If they want to live, you want to live in Mexico, go Mexican, go that way. You're welcome to come here legally and learn the language and customs. I don't know why this concept is so foreign to people.
But I love Trump's reaction here. I love this talking point so much. Instead of like the family separation narrative, Donald Trump is like, fine, you are going as a family unit and you're all going home together. I'm not separating families anymore. You can't play that card. You can't lie about it anyways, but fine, I won't separate her from her parents. They're going to go back to Mexico too.
Oh my God. Yeah, we might need to play that Christine Home clip too, where that one was spectacular, where she was at the hearing with, what's his name? Chris Murphy. Oh my God, that is so funny.
This just in, Democrats, Abrego Garcia is never coming back. I don't care what you say about it. He's never coming back home. End of discussion. They can complain all they want. Guess what? It's not going to change anything.
And we broke down that Abrego Garcia Maryland man story. But, you know, for those who haven't been following along, like the Maryland man was here illegally, reported gang stuff. If you want to contest that, have at it. But the fact of the matter is, he has a deportation order. He is from El Salvador. The only reason they couldn't send him to El Salvador is because he would be targeted by a gang because of his gang membership, which is what he testified to. You can't send me home. The rival gang will kill me. Now, that gang's all locked up because they got Bukele down there who's locking everybody up. So they're like, fine, send him back to his home country. He is home. Like, we do not need to bring him home. He is home. Home for him is Mexico or is El Salvador. Enjoy it. I don't know why this is controversial.
All right, Jason, we're changing gears here. So I recently saw some House meetings, meltdowns. They were complaining like, oh, Donald Trump's wasting his time on renaming the Gulf of America. Doesn't he have more important things to do? Then I was surprised to see this interaction right here. We'll play it right now for you folks. Democrats are focused on Harriet Tubman. We're bringing this back. We are bringing back Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill, and we promise meltdowns today. Let's get into the meltdowns, Jason. Here you go with his fantastic Secretary of the Treasury, Scott Bessent, basically just laughing at this woman in front of him, screaming, hyperventilating. She gets told no, she's not having it. But sure, let's focus on Harriet Tubman on the $20 bill.
Second question. The clock is running. It's my time. It is my time. You will not do this on my time. Now, I'm going to ask for a few more seconds since he refused to comply with my time, not his time. In 2016, former Secretary Jack Lew announced that Harriet Tubman was to be the new face of the $20 bill. Can you tell me what's the current status of this project?
No, ma'am, I can't, but my staff will get back to you.
No, I want you to get back to me. Because, see, there seems to be an issue when it comes to things that affect people of color or people who live in poverty, whether it is what you're doing with.
Do you think George Floyd would have passed a fake Harriet Tubman? Sorry, that was probably
Social Security, what you are doing with restricting funds.
The gentlewoman's
to
time. The gentlewoman's time is.
All right, folks, this is where the meltdown gets really fun. I want you to play a drinking game. Every time he says the woman's time is expired, I promise you won't be awake in the next 1 minute here. This
Take
is
a drink of your
fantastic.
split rock.
I want you.
The gentlewoman's
will
time
you
is
respond
expired.
to me,
The gentleman
Mr.
from
Chairman?
Texas,
I need
the
him to
gentlewoman's
answer
time.
if he will. I'm not
The
a staff
gentlewoman can
person.
submit
I'm not
questions
asking
for the
him
record.
to have his staff report to
The
me.
gentlewoman
so,
can
Mr.
submit-
Chairman, I'm addressing it to you to ask
gentlewoman's
him
time is
to
expired.
respect me. Mr. Chairman,
The gentlewoman's
I'm talking
time
to
has
you.
expired.
I need him to address.
The gentlewoman's
if he will
time
answer
has
me.
expired.
No, I'm not going to.
The gentlewoman's
yield.
time
I'm
has
not
expired.
going to stop until you
The
direct
gentlewoman's
him
time
to
has
answer
expired.
to me.
That goes on for like another minute, folks. But sure, Donald Trump's not befitting of the office of the President of the United States. Every single time, though, they can act like a child, and it's totally okay because they're standing up for people of color.
Well, and I got to say, too, can we get past the whole race stuff? I mean, I'm done with it. I'm over it. If you bring up the race stuff, like, you are not a serious person. And it was funny. I saw Charlie Kirk interview. He was doing one of those campus things, and he brought up this great point. And we've talked about it in our work chat before, but name a time and place in the history of the world that it is better to be a black person than America in the year 2025. Like, is there an African nation that had some advanced civilization like Wakanda in the Marvel movies? Is there any place in America that black people will have just better standard of living? Like right now in America, you even get some preferential treatment for hiring and education and loans. Washington State just passing first-time black homeowners get money. Like, where on earth would you rather be if you were a black person being born today and said, I get to pick any time and place? Would you pick anywhere other than America in 2025? If so, where? And then can we all quit complaining about it? Like, we have done, like, America has worked really hard to atone for the sins of slavery. We're past it. I don't know about you, Todd. I'm over it.
I was never there to begin with it. Like, no, I don't owe you anything. I'm not sorry that we had slavery in this country. That was normal in the world at the time. But set that aside, like, nobody alive today is impacted by that. And I have spoken with enough, and I don't want to speak for the black community, but I have heard a lot of folks say, like, I'm glad my ancestors came over because now I'm in America with these opportunities, and my distant relatives are still living in some hut foraging for food in many cases. So yeah, it kind of worked out okay. And again, this is not to condone slavery or the practice of slavery or to brush it aside, but it is to say that there are benefits to being in America. Nobody ever leaves. As much as they complain, they never leave, and actions speak louder than words. Tells me they're doing okay. And again, it's always these politicians too. She's going to play the race card. Ma'am, you're one of the most privileged people in the history of the world, sitting in Congress, collecting your salary, your benefits, your lifetime pension. You get this position of power here. Absolutely wild. But Jason, I want to get over to Eric again. Eric's on a roll. Eric, these comments belong on Rumble. You're too smart for Facebook. Join us over on Rumble here. Amazing how black people always feel the need to say it's about color. Are we going to change the face of the $20 bill just to make the minority happy? I bet they don't give a pair about who's on the face of that bill when they're spending it on every single thing they can do to throw the race card. That's how they divide Americans, and most people of color are getting wise to it. Yeah, absolutely. It's like renaming sports teams. Do the Indian populations in America care that it's the Redskins, or do they care that they're all poor and addicted to something on their reservations? Does the black community get improved when there's a different person on a $20 bill? Probably not.
Well, and it's fascinating too. Crockett's mother.
I was just going to say, Francis, I'm going to title one of our videos tomorrow. I'm going to steal that if you don't mind. It's just going to be Crockett's mother in quotation mark and then a clip of her here. I think that would play well.
Yeah, and I got to say too, it's fascinating. So I look back, like the generation before me. I was born in 1974, right? The generation before me, like, you had real racism. And let's be honest, you're always going to have racism. Like Asians, blacks, whites, all the races think they're the best. You know what I mean? And And I looked when my dad was growing up, you had segregation in the 50s, 60s. They flushed a lot of that out. And for me, the worm started turning, and I was poor white trash trying to go to college, and there was all these scholarships I couldn't apply for because I was a white guy. United Negro College Fund. And I always joked if I was rich, I was going to start the United White Guy College Fund just to let people lose their mind. But then as I had kids and saw what happened with the DEI and affirmative action and all that, like they have made it really hard to be a white dude. And, I tell this story of my ex-brother-in-law. He was wanting to be a sergeant in one of the big police forces in the Twin Cities. His best friend he met in the academy was black. And the black guy, his dad was the chief. So if you talk about who's more privileged, but as they went through the ranks from police academy, they were taking their sergeant's test. The black guy, even though his dad was the police chief, got extra points on his test than the white guy. And actually the first time through, he passed. My ex-brother-in-law didn't. And it was by those margin of points. And it's like, how long are people going to put up with stuff like this? And that's why when Donald Trump went in and he killed the DEI initiatives, made it illegal, got rid of affirmative action, I so support that. Let your merit speak for themselves. If you can deliver the goods, you deserve the job, you deserve the promotion, you deserve everything.
100%, Jason. And, this comment makes me think of something, too. So Catherine's over on Facebook and writes, who does she think she is? Rules are for everyone. Jason, was she obstructing an official proceeding when she refused to stop talking and she was told that her time has expired? I have seen this rule applied. If you obstruct an official proceeding, you can be charged with distant crimes not related at all to the case. People sat in jail cells for a long time for interrupting official proceedings, and it seems like that's what she was doing here.
Right. Well, and I got to say, too, Dee, our chat's on fire today. Better question, why didn't the Dems get this done in 4 years? It's fascinating because all these things, as somebody who generally votes with Republicans, we understand the Republican Party's a farce. And other than Trump and the MAGA people, it's just not going to happen. Democrats still haven't made that mental connection that they're not going to deliver on the goods they do. I was tweeting earlier this week about the infrastructure bill because people were complaining about different things. And it's they passed this law with however many hundreds of billions of dollars to put rural broadband out. And they passed this a few years ago. Todd, how many houses got connected to rural broadband?
I'm just going to say 0, and we might get fact checked by that one. I'm going to say I think it is 0, Jason, for Facebook.
It is 0, I believe. Oh my God, we even got Bubba over on the Rumble now. Giddy up, Bubba. Todd, what video do we go next?
You know what? We have more meltdowns here. We've got another Jasmine Crockett. I'll say it's her aunt this time to stick with the theme here. Again, I don't know what it is about this particular segment of the political population here, but they have the worst TDS among them. I just want to go to Dee Dee's question. It was Fally's comment really fast here because I get fired up when it comes to the issue of slavery. Fally says, just remember that their distant relatives sold them into the process. Folks, just to recap the Atlantic slave trade, you had Europeans go to the coast of Africa, and most of the work was done for them by fellow blacks in Africa. You see, they were also competing for resources and power, and they would take other blacks, they were black themselves, and they would sell their brothers and sisters to the Europeans. If that doesn't happen, if they all unified and said, no, you can't take us into America, then this doesn't happen. But because they practiced slavery themselves, black and black, and then sold other blacks into slavery to the Europeans, that's how we got to where we are here. Don't put it all on the white man. I don't, Jason, this is so obvious. I don't know why we need to do history lessons every week for our Dems, but there we go.
Oh all my right. Gosh, it is.
Jasmine Crockett's aunt. Here we go.
Time. The gentlewoman's time is.
I think this might be.
Woman's time is expired. The gentleman from The gentlewoman has offered that she can submit
Mr.
questions
Chairman,
for the
point
record.
of order to you. I will not stop. I will not be silent.
The gentlewoman is
until
not
you
offering
direct
an
him
appropriate
to answer.
parliamentary
The
inquiry.
gentlewoman
The
makes
gentlewoman
a
will
legitimate
suspend.
request.
I ask that members keep decorum and remain cordial during today's
being
hearing.
cordial. I resent your statement to imply that I am not. I am a member of the U.S. Congress. I am asking this
The
secretary
gentlewoman
to
may
respond
submit
to me.
QFRs for the record, which will be responded to by the secretary.
I'm being cordial. I don't know what you're talking about. I am screaming and ignoring you, and it's completely cordial.
Reminds me of, what was that movie Tommy Boy where Chris Farley was yelling like, I am a people person. Oh, I don't even understand.
All right,
where should we travel to
We got to
next?
get into this a little bit too, Jason. Epstein files. Senator Kennedy
Oh.
asked the question we all want to know. I got to be honest, I was a little disappointed in the response. Just complete disclosure.
Epstein hang himself, or did somebody kill him?
Senator, I believe he hung himself in a cell in the Metropolitan Detention Center.
Are you going to release all the information about that?
Senator, we are working through that right now with the Department of Justice.
When do you think you'll have it done, Cash?
I think in the near future, sir.
Like before I die?
Senator, we've been working on that, and we're doing it in a way that protects victims and also doesn't put out into the ether information that is irrelevant for production of the public, such as CSAM.
Todd, are we ever going to get him?
Nope. Do they even exist? Do they still exist, Jason?
Well, this was interesting because James O'Keefe came out with a couple breaking stories this week, which were kind of weird. The first one was Prince Andrew. Somebody in his circle confirmed that he was banging young girls, allegedly, for Facebook and YouTube. And they were talking about how they had a PR thing. And I don't know, anybody that's followed Epstein knows Prince Andrew most likely did something he wasn't supposed to. And also, like, he's never going to be prosecuted. This Epstein file stuff is interesting because Pam Bondi, we covered it like 3 weeks ago. She's like, I got the files on my desk. And then she releases files we've already seen. And just to be clear, every property of Jeffrey Epstein's was wired to the hilt, full of cameras, full of videos. It is believed that it was a blackmail operation. Bring rich, powerful people in, have them sleep with an underage girl, say, hey, we got a videotape of it. Now do this, or release a videotape. That's the alleged and, frankly, the most likely how he became so rich and powerful. The FBI, they simultaneously raided all his properties, Epstein Island, New York. I think there's one in Florida. And they supposedly have all this information. And then O'Keefe released a video where somebody asked Pam Bondi at like a restaurant, and she's like, oh yeah, we got all the videos and stuff. I don't think it'll ever see the light of day because I think it would be so detrimental to mankind if all that. So the Epstein files aren't like the flight log. They actually have video and logs of these people, like the blackmail operation. It's crazy.
Yeah, and just remember, too, the gal who we've seen the photograph circling with Prince Andrew, her name was Virginia. I don't know how to pronounce her last name. Giuffre. She just happened to die. She just mysteriously passed away, allegedly suicide a couple weeks ago, and you're thinking, gosh, there's a lot of momentum to release the files. One of the most vocal critics of Epstein and an alleged victim of Epstein just mysteriously gets offed, and you're thinking to yourself, that's pretty random. What are the odds that she would just disappear as this is picking up steam? But as Kagan Girl writes here, this was my impression from Cash's testimony. It was very measured and demure. He doesn't sound very sure. He is selective with his words. He knows he is letting everybody down. He knows he's not being fully honest about this. And they always hide behind, like, we're protecting the victims. I don't need them to show me the actual video with the young girl in it. You can describe it to me. You can say, here is Senator X with an underage girl, and just write that out for me. You can transcribe the video. I don't care. There are ways to release this information instead of just hiding behind protecting victims, don't want it to get in the ether. We're being very careful about it. They've had years to be careful about redactions or blurring out images. I'm with you, Jason. I'm with Kagan Girl here. I don't think we're ever going to see them. I'm not even sure it exists anymore. If it does somewhere, it's never going to see the light of day.
Yeah, and it's funny that, like, I am really happy with some of the things Cash and Bongino and Pam Bondi are doing, and I understand the complexity of the situations they're dealing with. I mean, let's say Epstein has 100 clients, which is probably on the light side. You have 100 people with net worth in the hundreds of millions of dollars. Like, this is going to be complicated to get through. They've done some good busts. They're helping with deportations. They're prosecuting. They just broke up a big child pedo ring. But it's like you all talked for years about what you were going to do when you got in there, and you're in there now. And, you know, we're coming up on 100 days. Like, it's time to see the results. Oh,
yeah, I mean,
and I got to say, Todd,
too, it felt like I was watching a Biden official up there talking about all the nonsense they're doing to Americans, and they're couching their language and they're carefully choosing their words. Very disappointed in Cash. And Jason, I am on record. I'm going to say it again here for our new audience. We got Bubba in the chat, Eric from Facebook here with another great comment about slavery. I don't care who's on that list. I don't care if it's Donald Trump himself. I don't care who is on the list. I just want to see the names because we are owed at least that much transparency. But I'm with you. I think the whole system would collapse if that did get out because it's everybody. I just assume it is everybody in a position of power or behind the scenes in power here. It would be earth-shattering, but we deserve that. And then we'll move forward from there. And again, I don't care who's on the list. These Dems are always like, you don't want the list out because Trump's on there. Like, I don't care. Show me the list.
Well, and I got to say, too, if I'm an Epstein victim, am I really that worried about my name getting out? Like, the rich and powerful people know who you are. And frankly, they're the ones who would be going after you. This whole excuse, like, oh, we got to protect the victims. Like, there is a little bit of truth to that. But at the same time, I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
and
that's what we're going to hold on.
I know this is going to be a touchy subject for me to dance on here. Again, protect the victims. Don't make them go through the public gauntlet. I don't think the public, though, would necessarily be like, oh, look at you. I'm going to shame you as this underage girl that got victimized by Epstein and the politicians. I would have to guess that they would be compensated quite well if names got out and they were able to go to trial with all these dudes, all these monsters that victimized them and traumatized them. Like, if we had video evidence of person X doing thing Y to this young girl, she would be set for life, as would her children and grandchildren and every descendant thereafter there. Again, not condoning what happened. I'm not saying that. But there would be a material benefit for them as well to get that out there. And again, the community would rally around them. These are not these bad guys at all. They are victims of horrific abuse.
Right, yeah. Can you imagine the GoFundMe for an Epstein victim? Like,
I mean, you can get $1 million for stabbing a white kid. Imagine what you could get for being an Epstein victim.
Right. You know, and you mentioned Eric. We got to get Eric over on the Rumble, but I wanted to flip back to one comment he made when you were talking about the Atlantic slave trade, because we always hear from the left, like, they're changing history. They're teaching history. And beautiful comment. Boy, did you hit a sore spot. Now I can tell you exactly how to give a history lesson all the time. It's because in schools, they don't teach real history. They teach what they want taught. I got into an argument with my niece. She literally was taught in school that we went over to Africa to herd up people and brought them back. She had no idea what happened. And it was because that's exactly what they taught her in school. They don't want American people. And the comment goes on. But it's funny if you talk to one of these folks that bring up slavery and say, how did the Europeans get the slaves? They have this vision in their head that, like, these white conquistadors landed on the peaceful African shores and were like running around with nets, like just capturing people and whatnot. And like the 1619 Project doesn't show you that the Europeans showed up and the tribes over there had slaves from rival tribes. Because when you conquered another tribe, you took them as slaves. Kind of like I'm Native American. It's my biggest ethnic heritage. Native Americans, like if two tribes fought, the losing tribe, they killed all the men, they took the women and raped them. Any men that survived, they made slaves. Like that's what the Indians did to the Indians. That's what the black people in Africa did to the black people. And then when the Europeans showed up, they're like, oh yeah, we got extra. You want to buy some slaves? And like, none of these folks understand that it was African nations selling other African people to Africans. And you will absolutely blow a kid's mind if you ask them that. Like, oh, well, who did they buy the slaves from, or how did they get the slaves? Oh, really?
No, we was kings and queens, Jason. That's real history. We was kings and queens.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, and Kagan,
All right,
what about the
pivot here,
that's
Jason? That's it, folks. Thanks for bearing with us on that. We had a couple clips that we popped up on Facebook today. Man, it's all making the rounds, but we've got some other stuff here. Jason, you wanted to share this video. We always do Scott Jennings. I'm going to skip that for now, but here's James Carville, because we're talking about race, identity, politics here. James Carville is never right about anything. This guy suffers TDS with the best of them. But he makes an interesting comment about Ilhan Omar. And Jason, I am here for the Ilhan Omar conversation. So let us roll the tapes.
Omar says that white men are responsible for most of the deaths in the United States. So let me get this straight. 69% of the people, I'm stuck on that number, I don't know, but 69% of the people going to vote are white. Of that, 48.5 are males. So, I don't know, my rough math is 33%. Let's go out and piss off 33% of the people that vote, and that's a smart strategy. And the people that agree with her. There are people that actually agree with her. And I think these, honestly, I think these people are more trouble than they're worth.
Todd, do you want to give the Ilhan Omar origin story?
I do, but first I want to address Eric. Thanks for asking, Eric. And if you're watching on Facebook, folks, this message is for you as well. Question is, what is Rumble? What is the Rumble? I love that. And how do I get there? Eric, Rumble operates just like YouTube. There is a website. You go to www.rumble.com, and you can search for our channel. It is The American Tribune. That is our company. That is our business. That's the banner we operate under. But go to rumble.com, look up The American Tribune. You can find our podcast, Freedom from the Press, there. And then you can also download the app. It is a green and white, I believe, play button. It looks just like the YouTube app. Get it on your phone. You can watch Freedom from the Press with Todd and Jason every Friday right from your fingertips there. But rumble.com, the American Tribune, or the Rumble app.
And Todd, why do we use Rumble?
What was that, Jason?
I said, why do we use Rumble?
Well, I don't know if you know this, Jason, or our audience there, but sometimes when we say stuff on Facebook or we broach topics that big tech leftist censors don't like, they can hit a little button on their end and say, this page no longer exists. This page will no longer get shared. If you're over on YouTube, I have had videos removed because I simply asked the question about childhood schedules. So we like free speech over in Rumble. Rumble has been very good to us. They have a platform where, believe it or not, you can share your opinions. You can share alternative facts, real facts, as it were, to the leftist narratives. So we love Rumble. We encourage everyone to get over to Rumble. We won't be doing it today, but usually we finish up a half an hour Rumble exclusive where Jason and I really get fired up and really let loose. And man, the comments on Rumble all day long too. You can see who's chiming in over on Rumble. We love the community that we're building over there. Oh, and Michaela says Rumble is the best. No censoring, no removal, free speech. You got that right, Mickey.
Yeah, and I got to say, Rumble's fun, too, because we're getting these, like, 10, 20, 30 people that watch over there, and then they all, kind of comment and chat, you get a little community built. And do us a favor, especially if you're on the Rumble, hit the thumbs up button, give us a like. Really helps us get some reach. But let's do the Ilhan Omar origin story.
I know, and these are clips we didn't necessarily want to pop up on Facebook. I think we could have. There's a library out there. Maybe next week, Jason, Rumble only, we do an Ilhan Omar deep dive. And I actually did that on my own podcast. If you go to Rumble, I'm going to confuse your brain now, Eric, but if you go to Rumble and search out the American Tribune Live with Todd Peterson, I did an hour on Ilhan Omar, but she's out there on TV on her corporate media kicks there, and she's talking about how white men are the real danger to society. We need to limit what white men are able to do. I mean, she has been out there just saying white people this, white people that. In different speeches and different video clips that I played, she is speaking in Somali to rooms full of Somalis saying, I am here to advance the interests of Somalis. Like, it's very clear what team she is on, and that team does not include anybody in this room, like not even just white dudes, but Americans. She has made it clear that she is there to serve the interest of Somalia. America last, and if America last is here, then white dudes are down here. But she has gone out there full identity politics, makes it clear where she stands. And James Carville, I got to say, my complaint with Carville here, he is not looking at this as an immoral issue. Like, Ilhan Omar is a disgusting person, should be removed from Congress. I'd be fine if she were deported. He's only looking at this like from a political strategy standpoint. Like, now I wouldn't do that if I were Ilhan Omar. We're trying to win voters over here. This is the problem with the aging traditional Democrat boomer audience. They're still stuck in this world where it's all like politics is a debate, and we're going to talk about tax rates and winning voters over and advancing the needs of the constituents here. Like, James Carville still hasn't realized that ship has sailed. You have now just communist or you have America first. That is it. But he's out there complaining about how the strategy is wrong. It's like, no, James, that is the strategy.
Right. And anytime I look at any of these statements people make, I immediately say, if you substitute one race with the other, that's the definition of is it okay, in my book. Back to my example earlier, when it was the United Negro College Fund, I would say, okay, can you have the United Asian College Fund, the United Hispanic College Fund, the United White Guy College Fund? Well, the white guy won, you're racist. Well, then this shouldn't exist. If I went out on any of these platforms and said any race other than white dudes, and I said what Ilhan Omar said about them, like the channels would be canceled, Facebook would nuke the page, you would be labeled a racist, a bigot, an awful person, all of the things. And I don't know how you break through to Democrats where they keep just spooning this filth and this garbage in. I just don't understand what we do to break through to them, Todd.
I think the response is going to be that the certain amount of white people are also going to become tribal because they recognize that every other demographic community has been and always will be tribal. They will put their people first. And white people have been lied to about the fact that you need to be tolerant, you need to be sorry for something, you need to accept others. And they're looking around the room and they're saying, well, nobody else is playing this game. And so what it's going to lead to is a backlash where eventually it's just going to be tribal for whites as well. Jason, I haven't decided necessarily if I'm opposed to that. I think that's always how it's been. And we are the last ethnic demographic group to kind of wake up to that reality. Like, it has always been tribal, everybody except us.
Well, and I think, to be fair, white people have been tribal too. I think every race, go to any foreign country. Koreans think Koreans are the best. China thinks China's the best. And that's what makes America special, is like an American is just an American. We aren't a black American. We aren't a white American. We aren't an Asian American. We aren't a Mexican American. But any of these people that do this race communism crap to say, like, hey, we need to separate people based on demographics, like, that's ridiculous. Like, everybody should be committed to the same values and principles that built the nation. And this might actually be a nice segue to some of the memes and stories we were going to talk about. I don't know if Todd has those.
I was just going back to Eric. Eric's on fire. Rumble.com, Eric, the American Tribune here. They have Black Entertainment Television, Ebony Magazine, all kinds of Black History Month. If we try to do any of that, there would be marches and lootings and burnings, no doubt. I'm added to your comment there, Eric. And for all y'all reading what I'm saying, when I was in the Army, I didn't care what color a person was covering my six. I just cared that they were covering. That also drives home the point here. Yeah, we honestly don't care. They're mad at us. This is what leftists do, though. They start a fire, and then you notice the fire. You're like, hey, something is burning over there. And then they jump on you for noticing that something is burning. That's the playbook every time. They are going to divide by race, make you hate your race, make you focus on only one race. And when we're over here saying, like, this isn't how it's supposed to be, then they jump on you for noticing every single time without fail. You notice it, now you're bad. Just ignore that we started all of it.
It is crazy. And it's part of why we create the content we do, because it's how do you get people to just understand and accept reality, quit with these false narratives. It's nice to see that some of the Democrats are starting to wake up, and kind of where we're going to end this week's episode is talking about a couple things that just encountered in our personal life. So family member had shared a meme on social media, actually a couple of them if we got time. And the first one was talking about empathy. And this is the left-wing propaganda that gets fed to our kids. We were talking earlier about kids and truth and what they learn in school. And it's funny, we've created this generation that just doesn't have a lot of common sense, Todd. Would that be right? Or doesn't understand things?
Chooses not to understand at this point.
Right.
I am struggling with this sharing here. Normally they want PDF files and it's not uploading a PDF, Jason. So you keep narrating. I'm going to pull this up eventually.
I'll keep narrating. So anyways, when we get the quote up, it was this meme that was shared from a left-wing thing, and it says, "What radicalized me is just empathy, bro." I'm like, okay. And then it talks about how I just want people. What radicalized you? Nothing. Not wanting people to starve and suffer is not radical. It's normal. Stop saying it's radical to be base level empathetic and start asking people who were made into sadists. Call out sick behavior because kindness should be the default. Now, I'm going to say as I break this down, this just drives me nuts. So first, anytime you see a left-wing person who shares this, my first question is always, what have you done to make the world a better place? Did you volunteer at the homeless kitchen? Did you give your money to any of these organizations that are helping these causes? How much of your time and effort? Did you snowplow your neighbor's driveway because you knew they were struggling or whatnot? Have you done any of that stuff to be empathetic? Not wanting people to starve. Nobody wants people to starve. There is not a single GD human being that wants to see another person starve. I mean, maybe there's like this percent of a percent out there that's a sadist, but every single person wants people to be able to eat. Now, the question is, do we want to provide a system for you to be able to feed yourself? Or do I want to take on the responsibility of feeding you for the rest of my life? And frankly, if you're an able-bodied person in America, it should be nobody's responsibility but you to feed yourself. Todd, your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, number one, Jason, there was a time when the United States government was not this large and you had people settle westward. They took care of themselves. There was a time when people were self-reliant and sufficient. They would rally around a community to help themselves out, oftentimes church-based. But people have done it before, folks. In this recent time here, you're like, oh, government will just take everything. No, we have done it before and we can do it again. This is not to say if we remove government, everyone's just going to lose their minds and suffer and starve. And nope, not going to happen. We can find a way here. But the other point too, Jason, these people think that they're empathetic and tolerant and inclusive and better than you, morally and intellectually speaking here. They vote for a government to steal from others and then redistribute that, and they think they're the good guy. I have my income stolen from me at gunpoint with the threat of imprisonment. My money is forcefully taken from me thanks to people like this posting that meme, and they think they're a good person for doing that. They steal my wealth, my time, my labor, because all that goes into making money for my family. They vote to steal it and then hand it out to somebody if it even gets to them. Thanks to Doge, we know that that money barely trickles down to the people they're supposed to help anyways. But you're a moral person, a better person than me because you voted for theft of wealth and other people's resources without lifting a finger, without getting off your couch. It's utterly absurd. No, you are not a better person because you voted for government theft.
Well, and think about this language. What radicalized you? So radicalization is such a strong word, not like what annoyed you, what makes you rad. Radicalized is like, I'm going to go grab my gun or grab whatever and overthrow things. Not wanting people to starve and suffer. Like, if you think you have the ability to eliminate human suffering, like, congratulations to you. Only God, the creator, can do that. But not wanting people to starve. And all this comes, do you really think that in the year 2025 of the Lord, that there are these hundreds of thousands or millions of people that are really wanting people to starve and suffer? Like, is that, you really think in America in today's day and age that that's really a thing? It is ridiculous.
Well, and can we observe the reality that in America, I don't know if anybody is starving, and they want to imply that if you vote for Donald Trump, you're somehow leading people to starvation. Jason, how many programs has Trump ended? How many SNAP, EBT, WIC, welfare, safety nets, Social Security? Has Donald Trump cut any programs that would provide resources to people to purchase food?
No.
Oh,
and I got
nobody is starving. Just so we understand that, just so we can understand the premise of this is completely a lie. Anyways, nobody is starving. I think I heard you correctly on that.
Yeah, I got to say, if you go to some of these other third world countries and show them pictures of our starving, underprivileged people who weigh 350, they're going to laugh at you. They're going to say, that person's complaining about starving. Like, A, you can go get a job anywhere, you know. B, like, food is super cheap, way too cheap, probably because the quality's not there. Oh my gosh, and we got Kev finally showing up. Kev, where have you been? Better late than never. Yeah, and just let everybody know we are going to have to cut out a little early. Usually go an hour and a half. Todd's got kid duty. Who knew? This is the other one we want.
The lady could just take half a day and on a late moment's notice and just say, hey, by the way, parents, you have to pick up your kid at 12 o'clock today. So thank you for that.
Right.
I'll pay her a full day's wage, but I still have to get him at 12.
Oh my gosh. And this one is the other meme that just drove me bananas. And the top part that's cut off is how do I tell if I am a left-wing extremist? And this was a point I wanted to make. Look for the warning signs. Expresses sympathy for poor and working people. Expresses concern over the treatment of marginalized people. Expresses concern with fascism and other current drama. Accepting of all sexualities, religion, genders, race, other than Christians or heteronormative or whatnot, wishes the world where all people were treated equally, takes an interest in philosophy and history, and talks about solving various injustices in society. They are so much. Oh, go ahead. I was going to say it's
takes an interest in history. We just got done explaining the history of slavery. But sure, they take a real interest in slavery to know that white people are bad.
Yeah, and it's funny too. So I read through this and I'm like, this totally reads with one of the concepts we talk about on the show. They think they're intellectually superior to you and morally superior to you. And when they talk about like accepting of all religions, they'll be the first person to mock your Christian religion. They'll be the first person to, so, oh, you're a fake Christian or whatever. They will have no problem attacking you for your traditional conservative values, but they will also be the ones that like demand you adopt any other minority thing. But the point I wanted to make on this is notice how nothing here involves these leftists getting off their ass and doing something. Not a single thing is look for the warning signs. I help my neighbor rake their yard. I volunteer at the old folks' home. I donate money to the food shelf. I actually start a company so I can employ some of these marginalized people. None of this leftist ideology involves you actually doing something, which is why it's so appealing. Like people that share these memes, if you look at them, there's somebody who will complain about the world, but they won't actually do anything to make the world better. And when they say they understand history, they understand a very narrow view of history. Like they don't understand Africans rounded up Africans to sell them to Europeans. Like they don't understand Native Americans, which I'm part of. Like the tribes killed each other way more than the white man ever did. You know, it is this leftist mentality that destroys these young people. And all they do, like, they don't sit there and get off their butt and go do anything, which is why they're so crabby and whiny when you need to actually be out producing things, doing things of value in your community and quit complaining about things. But even their thing to say how to know if you're a left-wing extremist, it's how I feel, what I bitch about, all those things. It's never actually going to do anything.
My favorite thing on this entire list, though, this summarizes how childlike Democrats are. Third from the bottom, Jason, wishes for a world where all people are treated equally. If you wish for something, yeah, I have a 4 and a 2-year-old. They make wishes all the time. This is complete Fantasyland gibberish, not go make the world a better place. I wish it were a more equal place, too. I wish white people got treated the same way when they were applying to colleges and jobs. Fine, but this idea of just wishing for a world where everything is wonderful, like, that is so Democrat. Yeah, you might be far left, and I will call you far left, but not in a good way. These people are like, look at me, I'm a good person. I check all the boxes. Like, no. I am mocking you for checking all those boxes.
Right. And like I say, people share this and they think like, see, I'm a morally superior person because I'm empathetic and I worry about marginalized people. Paul Reese, all hat, no cattle. Yeah. You know, and it's funny because like I have a lot of lefty friends. I try not to engage. Some of these are family members. Try not to engage. My wife gets mad at me. God love Jen Robb from Minnesota because she tries to keep me clean on this stuff. But it's just fascinating that none of this involves you actually going and doing anything. And I think that kind of sums up why this leftist mentality is so powerful, because you can just talk about how wonderful and how somebody else should take care of this problem. And I'll use my wife. She is the most empathetic person I know. She is somebody who, like, we'll be driving, we're at the dog park, there was a lady struggling. She stopped what she was doing and ran over to help this poor lady in her car. We're at the grocery store 2 weeks ago. A lady tripped on a curb. She's like, stop the car. I'm like, God, did I hit something? She hops out to go help this lady. When we have friends or family, she makes it a point to make sure they have birthday cards or Christmas cards. But will the lefty that posted this meme, will they make sure that my wife gets a Mother's Day card? I doubt it.
Jason, permission to run down the list really fast. So people will throw this out there. They'll say, I'm a better person than you. Not even worth debating because this is just fact here. I want to run down the list and point out how it's wrong really fast. That'll be my closing segment for the show today. So starting with expresses sympathy for poor and working people. I have a lot of sympathy for the poor and working people. And one reason I can show that is that I don't want all these illegals coming in the country undermining entry-level positions. It harms Black Americans more than anybody else. It harms kids, though. I don't like these minimum wage laws because it prices young people and entry-level jobs out of the market entirely. So when Democrats express their sympathy for poor and working people, all they do is double down on the hardships of poor and working people by removing the opportunity for them to go get a job, advance themselves, develop some skill sets. I don't like the fact that we have such high taxes everywhere. We have taxes everywhere. You look, property taxes, income taxes, sales taxes. You've got taxes everywhere that poor people get affected by the most. When you go to a convenience store and you see people buying cigarettes or their nicotine pouches, or you see them buying booze, just understand that the excise taxes on those outrageously impact the poor and working people the most because they have less margin to work with disposable income. But sure, you love the poor and the working people there, leftists. Express concern over the treatment of marginalized groups. If you are the in-group, you can do whatever you want. If you are marginalized, applying for college, or you're trying to get a job, or you identify as a Christian or a straight white male, good luck to you. So marginalized in the sense that they use it, no. You can be an in-group, and then I don't care if you're an out-group. So very selective, like Jason said, about who they care about here. Expresses concerns with fascism and the current political drama. Well, I have expressed concern with that. Does that make me a leftist all of a sudden when I watch Joe Biden mandate jabs on you? He wouldn't let you go to work. We saw plenty of tyranny take place. I saw political prisoners in the system there for questioning the veracity of an election outcome. So that seemed a little fascistic to me, but what do I know? Accepting of all sexualities, religions, genders, and races. Jason, we accept all of them. The MAGA tent is big enough for everybody. Where these people are so, I think, intentionally wrong is the fact that I just don't want it shoved down my throat with government fiat. No, I don't want my 5-year-old exposed to this content in the government school system. No, I don't want to be lectured in a professional development about how one race is the bad guy because of something that happened that used to be ubiquitous and universal 200 years ago. Wishes for a world where all people are treated equally. Yes, I wish that were the case, and it would be the case if it weren't for Democrat politicians dividing us along those lines. Takes an interest in history and philosophy. We addressed that one already. They believe their narrative histories. They don't care about real history. Talks about solving various injustices in society. We talk about them all day long. I have yet to see them actually address it. I have seen, since LBJ's Great Society, the Black community gutted, ruined, thrown drugs, families separated, men incarcerated, ghettos just running the show with gang violence here. So you want to talk about injustices in the Black community. That was Democrat intervention. That was too much government. Again, the opposite of what they're trying to profess here. No one will ever listen to me. My sister-in-law will never have that conversation. All right, I'm done, Jason.
Oh, that's funny. And actually, it's fascinating, too. I just sent it to Todd in the private chat. We probably can't put it on here. But the person who posted it, their banner on their Facebook page is, "Attention Christians, this is a heathen neighborhood. Keep moving." And like at no point, so Judeo-Christian values built America. They built the wealth and prosperity and the enjoyment you get to have as an American. And you are shitting on those very people that built this. And you have the audacity to post something like that, like, oh, we're tolerant of everybody, when this is your banner on Facebook. And it's not just this individual, it's the leftists overall. your Judeo-Christian values, they will crap on and crap on and crap on, even though that's what built the nation. It is remarkable. All right,
And they
Todd,
don't
should we
even
button up and
recognize
get out of here?
Yeah, we got to go rescue the kids from half-day daycare. But Jason, they will never recognize it. They will tell you in the first sentence, I am all about love and tolerance and inclusion. And in the very next sentence, they won't even pause for a comma or a period. They'll just keep going. They're going to say, and by the way, I think Christians are awful and evil, and white people need to atone for their sins and feel guilty. And they won't even hear the disconnect there.
Yeah, and I don't know how their brains don't break. Like, I just don't understand. But that's why we do this podcast. It's therapeutic for us. Thank you for everybody for joining us on our rant session. For the new viewers, normally we go an hour and a half, maybe an hour and 45 minutes. Today with a little daycare stuff. Todd's got to go get the kids. And honestly, my wife just got home. She had a tooth pulled. So Jen Robb from Minnesota, I got to make sure she's doing okay. I'm going to go make her some homemade mashed potatoes today, Todd. Like, that's how much I love her.
Sounds fantastic. You can never put enough garlic in mashed potatoes, by the way. The more garlic, the better.
Oh, now that you say that, Jen's going to tell me to put garlic in it. I usually just do cream cheese, butter, salt and pepper, a little bit of sour cream. Oh, yeah.
Okay. No wrong way to make mashed potatoes. You do you, Jason.
Giddy up. All right, folks. Well, thank you so much for everybody for tuning in this week. Let us know if you like the new intro music. Like, we're pretty proud of it. But the guy on our team, Josh, that made it, like, he can tweak it or adjust it. I told him I wanted something across between the Ric Flair intro music and Drowning Pool when the bodies hit the floor. And that's what he came up with. So I thought it was pretty good. I enjoyed it. But let us know if you did too. Do us a favor too. Give us a like, thumbs up. We only got like 10, 12, but we got like 30 to 50 people watching live on the Rumble. Give us a thumbs up. Give us a comment. Give us a share. And Todd, anything before we send them out?
Just for our audience, because it's new, I'm going to play our intro video again one more time because that's where the new song is. So, folks, stay tuned for the final 60 seconds. Listen to the song we're rolling out here. Let us know your thoughts next week when we're back live on Friday. It'll be May 16th, 11 a.m. Eastern, 10 a.m. Central. Looking forward to see you again over on Rumble. Eric, we're going to find you on Rumble next week. Everyone else, have a great weekend. We'll see you next Friday.